What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some battles in the Fantasy Cup with the buffed Thunder Punch Lucario and Thundershock Melmetal. However, instead of the typical charge attacks, I'm running Hyper Beam on my Melmetal. Now, to be completely honest, I already had Hyper Beam on this Pokemon for whatever reason, and I think Double Iron Bash is probably the preferred secondary move, which is a legacy move. I don't have many Elite TMs, and Rockslide obviously got nerfed last season, so I just decided to stick with Hyper Beam, and of course it does mean that Giratina and Dragapult do completely wall this thing, double resisting all of the charge moves. However, up against pretty much any other Pokemon, this combination was very strong, and it definitely caught some trainers off guard. So with that being said, let's just get into the question of the day. What kind of content do you want to see during the next league rotation? Of course, leagues will be rotating on the Tuesday, and we're going to be stuck with the Little Holiday Cup and the Master League. A lot of people just can't afford to play in the Master League, and the Little Holiday Cup looks like an awful meta already. Going to be completely dominated by Smeargle with a moveset that's pretty difficult to obtain as well. So honestly, I'm not looking forward to that. I do have like some submissions from earlier in the season in the Great League where people submitted stuff that looked very interesting. It just didn't showcase anything that was buffed this season, so I put it on hold, but maybe I could showcase some of those submissions there. I could also do some live streams. Let me know what you want to see in that week, and with that being said, let's just get into the battles now. Alright, so go into the first battle, leading Giratina into Galarian Weezing. Now, actually, this isn't that bad of a matchup because typically in this meta, Galarian Weezing will be running Sludge and Overheat, both of which are going to be resisted by the Giratina. So we're going to fire off the Shadow Ball straight away. Shadow Ball is going to be shielded by the opponent. At this point, I'm actually going to no-shield here. If they're running Play Rough or Brutal Swing, then that's fine. But it's just the Overheat. They then swap into Azumarill. So we're actually going to stay in here. We are taking resisted bubble damage, so I don't need to get out of this matchup. And we will deal some very nice neutral damage with the Shadow Claws, with the Shadow Balls, but at this point the opponent is going to probably commit a shield and go for a full bubble farm down. So we're going to go for the Shadow Ball, grab the final shield, and now it's time for Melmetal to shine. Of course, we have two shields. They could be running Hydro Pump. I'm going to shield. It's just the Play Rough there. But at this point I'm thinking we might as well just commit to a full Thundershock farm down, and I'm going to respect the damage here. The opponent does full send the Hydro Pump this time around. We're going for that farm down, already at 100 energy, but we get a huge farm down here. They come back in with the Weezing. We're going straight for the Hyper Beam, and Weezing gonna be straight in and straight out there. Shout out to Jamie Finn for that quote. They then come in with a Shadow Excadrill, and again, same scenario. Superpower gets the one shot, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to open there into next battle. We're going to see Azumarill in the lead. So this is a fairly neutral matchup for us. We're going to go straight for the Shadow Ball once again, and it will be good timing here as we go for 7 Shadow Claws up against a 3-turn fast move user in Azumarill. We are now going to shield this up. They do have enough energy for the potential Play Rough, so we're going to shield. It is the Play Rough. Play Rough probably still wouldn't quite one-shot us from that range. However, it would put us into farm down range. But now we're going to bank a ton of energy swap, catch the move onto Melmetal. And I did use Melmetal as the safe swap most of the time throughout these battles. We're going to see a Mudslap, Shadow, Alolan and Doug trio. We're going to grab a shield there. However, they do get the Mudslap farm down. And as well, Thundershocks, whilst they did get buffed, they're non-stab and then double resisted up against this Pokemon. So now we're going to come in with Lucario. I realized 3 Force Palms is all it's going to take to completely destroy this Doug trio. Although 2 Mudslaps do get us into the yellow health range, we're now going to swap back into Giratina, and here, this is a mistake. I should have just committed to a full Shadow Claw farm down. Instead, I fire off the Ominous Wind, and that backfires as they've got Dragapult in the back. I need to make it to back-to-back charge moves here. Lucario completely walled, but we do just barely get there in time, and this is huge for us. Ominous Wind gets the KO up against the Dragapult, surviving with 1 HP and a Dream, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to open there into the next battle, Shiny Shadow Scizor in the lead. So I'm going to stay in, catch the Night Slash onto my Melmetal. Of course, Lucario would resist Night Slash, so maybe that would have been better. However, I used the Melmetal as my safe swap, and unfortunately the opponent actually gets the boost. So now I'm going to have to shield this up. We're going to farm up 2 back-to-back superpowers, but if the opponent wants to, since they're boosted, they're probably just going to double shield and then fully Bullet Punch farm down my Melmetal, which is definitely not ideal for me. But again, Lucario will resist the damage. Well, the typical moveset on the Scizor anyway, so we're going to come in with Lucario, gonna no-shield this. The opponent does just go for the Night Slash. Night Slash, even resisted, does about 50% of our HP. However, they come in with Skarmory, and this is fine with me. We can make it to near, well, we get to back-to-back Thunder Punches. However, close combat, still gonna do more damage. It gets the one-shot, and they've got Azumarill in the back, of course. So now we can just go for a Shadow Ball. We've got such a huge energy advantage and a shield advantage. It's gonna be game over for the opponent, and so we fire off Shadow Ball number 2 straight away as soon as we get there. there, and Shadow Ball will be enough damage to get the KO, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to opponent there into the next battle. We're going to see a Turtonator in the lead. So this is a fine lead for us. Their opponent's going to save swap into a Whimsicott. So I'm actually going to stay in here. I will be able to make it to a Shadow Ball before they make it to the Moonblast, since they do swap after one turn. So now we're going to grab a shield, come in with the Melmetal, and I feel like it's very unlikely that the opponent double shields. So at this point, I'm going to no shield. Moonblast honestly does a lot of damage, and we don't even make it to another Hyper Beam before they make it to Moonblast number 2, but we do hang on, and we're going straight for the Hyper Beam. Do they want to double shield? No, Hyper Beam gets the one shot. They come back in with the Turtonator. They only get off one Incinerate for that farm down, so now I can come back in with my Giratina, and let's see, the opponent's actually going to swap into a Azumarill. We still got a shield advantage, and again, I've got a slight energy advantage, so I'm going to fire off the Shadow Ball, and then I think eventually I will swap into my Lucario. However, I don't really want to catch a Hydro Pump, not catch a Hydro Pump, but swap into my Lucario, and then the opponent throws a Hydro Pump, so now we know it's Ice Beam. I'm going to bank a ton of energy, now swap into Lucario. I realise Lucario's not going to be able to do much up against that Turtonator if we don't have an energy advantage, so I no shield that, not going to allow them to get much farm, but we can still make it to the close combat. Close combat does huge damage. We can come in with the Giratina, and somehow that's a CMP tie, which makes no sense. Two 2-turn moves up against a 5-turn move, that should never be CMP. However, we do win CMP. We grab the shield there, they go for a Flamethrower, probably running Flash Cannon as the secondary charge move, I believe, but it doesn't really matter. We can go for a Shadow Ball into a Azumarill coming back in, Shadow Ball gets the KO, and we're able to take that game. So GG's top over there into the next battle. We're going to see a Shadow Alone Sandslash in the lead. So going to say swap into my Melmetal, and unfortunately this is the nightmare scenario, met with a Giratina. However, they throw straight away, and this is probably best case scenario for me because Shadow Ball actually doesn't quite take us out here. We're only going to get off one charge move anyways, so Hyper Beam, double resisted, it doesn't do much damage, but it does allow us to come in with our Giratina, shield once, and then just fully Shadow Claw farm them down, which isn't the worst thing ever. So definitely going to go for that shield, go for the Shadow Claw farm down, and instead of throwing a charge move, I'm going to swap straight away, but unfortunately the opponent can also swap out immediately. So we got off a 1 Force Palm up against the Alone Sandslash. It does a lot of damage, but it doesn't really help us that much because I don't have a significant energy advantage into the Azumarill here. So at this point, I'm going to fire off the next Thunder Punch. Thunder Punch, actually a CMP tie, which isn't too bad for me. At this point, I'm just going to let Lucario to go down. They go for a play rough there, and now I kind of need to undercharge this. I'm already at 100 energy, so no point over farming. Shadow Ball, still, even with that undercharge, does get the KO, and that's going to cost me here as I will be able to make it, well, possibly make it to back-to-back Ominous Winds. And actually, nope, not even able to make it to back-to-back Ominous Winds. Ominous Wind would not get the KO anyways. I needed an Ominous Wind to be shielded, and then I needed to make it to a Shadow Ball, and with that undercharge, I just wasn't able to do that. But GG's to opponent there into next battle. I'm going to see a Turtonator in the lead, so going straight for the Shadow Ball, dealing big damage, and we are going to shield respect the damage here from the Turtonator as they go for a Dragon Pulse this time. Now they're going to swap into Galarian Weezing, and once again, I don't need to get out of this matchup. However, this is going to be slightly tricky for us because I've got two Steel types where, I mean, with the Melmetal, we can only go for the Hyper Beam, and then Lucario, of course, going to deal double resisted Force Palm damage for that fast move, so not really the best situation. However, I'm going to no shield. We actually lose CMP up against this Weezing, so I guess that is IV dependent, but now we're going to come in with the Lucario. I'm definitely going to shield, respect the damage. The opponent full sends the overheat here. They're going to stay in. They swap into Turtonator, trying to catch the charge move. They do, of course, clear the debuff, but it doesn't really matter. We can go for a Thunder Punch. They realize we're making it to another Thunder Punch before they make it to the next move there, so they just let it go. They're going to come in with a Azumarill, of course. I mean, if you don't see a Azumarill in the lead, you can guarantee there will be one in the back. We can now go for another Thunder Punch. Thunder Punch should be grabbing the final shield. Now we're going to swap into Melmetal because, honestly, I wasn't sure if Lucario would even make it to another charge move. They full send the Hydro Pump there, does huge damage, but we're able to make it to a Hyper Beam. And, of course, this is going to be massive overkill, but Hyper Beam gets the KO up against the Azumarill, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to opponent there into the next battle. We're going to see Empoleon in the lead. So the opponent's going to be running Steel Wing as the fast move. So I swap into my Melmetal, and we're met with a regular Excadrill running Moveset. So non-Shadow. This means I'll actually make it to back-to-back superpowers. However, after throwing the first one, this superpower is debuffed in our attack. It actually won't quite get the KO. So very good recognition from the opponent there to know to let that go through. Realizing the Thundershock damage just wasn't adding up at all. So they could live that. We're now going to come in with Lucario and go for a Force Palm. shield once, not take any, well, 1 damage from the shielded charge move there, but obviously not taking much damage considering that was a Mud Slap user. Now we can go for a Thunder Punch into Azumarill, and at this point I'm going to wait for the opponent to swap back into Empoleon for some reason. I don't really understand that. I guess they are just sacrificing the Empoleon, realizing it's going to be up to Azumarill to win this game. However, the opponent overfarms too much. We're able to make it to another Thunder Punch, win CMP, and that will be game over for them as the opponent fires off a charge move. They go for Ice Beam, they actually undercharge that, which is smart, but this is just another Ice Beam. So Giratina can live this reasonably comfortably. They won't be able to bubble farm me down. We can, of course, just fire off the Shadow Ball, and from this range, Shadow Ball, once again, will be taking out the Azumarill eventually when it does connect, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's up over there into next battle. We're going to see Giratina into a Shadow Salamence. So most of the Salamence I've seen are on Fire Fang. However, this one is on Dragon Tail. So we stay in initially. Once we recognize it was going to be Dragon Tail, we're going to have to swap out of there. And unfortunately, Hyper Beam from full health does not get the KO up against the Whimsicott. And whilst these are buffed Thunder Shocks, they're non-stab. I'm not going to be able to fast move farm them down, which is very painful for us, which means I'm actually going to have to fire off a Superpower here, which does not really help me at all there. Obviously, if I was running like Flash Cannon, for example, we get the one shot and then we come out with a Superpower loaded, that would be very nice for us. But unfortunately, not the case. We're going to come in with Lucario. I didn't want to throw it on CMP because I think, well, I'm actually just not certain who wins CMP here. It's probably the Salamence, actually. I know Lucario obviously has a very high attack stat, but Salamence also incredibly glassy. So at this point, we just go for a full farm down, and then, of course, it's Azumarill in the back, and when we've got all shields down with my Giratina and my Lucario in the back, it's not looking too good for us. Now, we do, of course, grab a shield there with the Shadow Ball. The opponent makes it to a Play Rough. Play Rough gets the KO, and the best we can do here is throw on CMP. However, we're not able to make it to back-to-back Thunder Punches, so Thunder Punch number 1 grabs the final shield. The opponent makes it to a Charge Move, and whatever they throw from this range will get the KO. It is the Play Rough anyways, and unfortunately, we lose that game. But GG's to opponent there into the next battle, another Shadow Alone and Sandslash in the lead. We're going to say swap into our Melmetal, and here was really strange. I tried to click on the Superpower straight away, but it actually just didn't register. So then I thought, well, if I didn't get there in time, then that surely wasn't a drill run, but I think we just stuttered as I went to click the move. Either way, we got off a charge move up against the Flygon coming in. Not ideal for us, but at least we do make it to a charge move. If the drill run KO'd me there, I'd have been very frustrated. But either way, we're going to come in with the Giratina. I'm just going straight for the Shadow Ball here. I want to get rid of this Pokemon as soon as possible. Actually, never mind. That's an ominous wind. We don't need to go for the Shadow Ball there. But we can come in with Lucario, get the full farm down, and they've got Ferrothorn in the back. So very interesting team there. Incredibly weak to fire. If they see it in the lead, I honestly don't know what they do. But either way, we can go for a full Force Palm farm down, taking out the Ferrothorn, and I'm able to take that game. So GG to opponent there into next battle, Azumarill in the lead. So again, fairly neutral matchup here. Going to go straight for the Shadow Ball. And honestly, there aren't many Pokemon, aside from like Wigglytuff, that are going to like heavily resist the damage from the Giratina. So you don't really have to worry too much about people making a catch, because even if they do catch a Shadow Ball onto something else, it's still going to do a lot of damage in most scenarios. But once again, we're able to swap, catch the Charge Move onto my Melmetal. They go for a Play Rough, and they're going to come in with a Ferrothorn, but they're actually on Metal Claw, which is interesting. Metal Claw, of course, not going to do much damage in this matchup, but neither would Bullet Seed, so it doesn't really make too much of a difference there. We're going to fire for Superpower here. Superpower is going to be no shielded. It does big damage, and we're going to fire off the next one on the CMP tire. Superpower coming through, even debuffed, it will get the KO from that range, so we grab a shield there, and even though we're double debuffed to our defense, Mirror Shot still not going to be enough damage to get the KO, and again, we throw on CMP. No, never mind, actually. The opponent makes a very nice catch there, catching it onto Azumarill. But either way, still looking to be in a pretty decent position here. The opponent comes in with a Charm Clefable, and honestly, I did not see many Charmers at all, and I haven't done it in the Fantasy Cup. However, we've got such a huge energy advantage on the Giratina though, so it doesn't actually matter. We can fire off the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball, gonna do big damage. We swap into Lucario. They make it to a Charge Move, but this would just be a Swift, so I'm actually gonna no-shield this. Swift doesn't do much damage. We get the Force Palm farm down, and the opponent's just gonna concede the match. So GG's top over there into next battle, going to see a Dragapult in the lead. So this is definitely where we want to see it. Of course, going to be throwing, well, I was going to say throw on awkward timing here, but the opponent does not throw straight away. So we go for the Ominous Wind, throwing after 7 Shadow Claws, and we put them into range where hopefully we can just farm them down with either Pokemon in the back. I'm going to no shield, they full send the Shadow Ball. We then swap at the same time as the opponent. However, the opponent gets a 0-turn swap as they threw the charge move. We get a 1-turn swap, which means unfortunately they can fully Mud Slap, farm me down. We don't get off that final Force Palm, and we just very easily get destroyed in that battle. So GG's top opponent there, but into the next battle, we're going to see Azumarill in the lead once again. So this time, I think the opponent started there, otherwise I would have just thrown straight away, but it kind of, I saw that the fast move timing was a bit off there, and I ended up throwing on CMP, so not really ideal. I definitely would not recommend doing that. However, it doesn't really matter, as we're still able to swap, make the catch onto my Melmetal, as the opponent goes for Play Rough once again. This time they come in with Turtonator, and I think I'm going to commit to the Hyper Beam here. Yep, we're committing to it. We do just barely get there in time. Hyper Beam will be enough to actually not quite take them out there. That is definitely not ideal for us. However, we can come in with Lucario. I'm going to no shield this, assuming it will be a Dragon Pulse. It is the Dragon Pulse, and we Force Palm, farm them down there. So that's huge for me. The opponent comes back in with Azumarill. We're going for a full Force Palm farm down, and the opponent's got a Registeel in the back. So this is big. We can now go straight for close combat. Close combat, gonna grab a shield there. The opponent is going to not throw their charge move yet. We're able to make it to close combat number 2. Close combat, gonna grab the final shield, and it's actually a CMP tie. So that is literally perfect for me. We go for a Focus Blast. We can come in with the Giratina, just go straight for a Shadow Ball here. No point in over farming at all. Shadow Ball doesn't quite get the KO, but we get the Shadow Claw farm down. And of course, Azumarill, one more Shadow Claw, gets the KO, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's top opponent there, into next battle, another Azumarill in the lead. Obviously, if you guys have been watching my Fantasy Cup content this week, basically every game, I swear, is like Azumarill in the lead. But either way, we're going to go straight for the Shadow Ball there once again. Shadow Ball is going to connect. It does big damage. And again, I'm going to shield the first charge move, then try to swap and catch that next charge move. Since they're on Ice Beam, actually, never mind, because I think they throw on awkward timing there. We're able to make it to another Shadow Ball and just throw and get rid of them straight away. But they come in with a Dragapult, and at this point, I kind of have to shield here. Otherwise, I don't know what I'm going to do. I need to, first of all, grab a shield back from the Dragapult, but as well get off a few more Shadow Claws worth of damage, so I can hopefully put them into farm down range. But still, not looking too good for me. These Thunder Shocks are actually chunking. They come in with a Turtonator. And what am I doing? I throw on alignment there. That is so poor on my end. We go for the Hyper Beam. We swap into Lucario. We actually get the snipe before the opponent reacts. But it just doesn't matter because I took that one extra Incinerate's worth of damage, which I didn't need to do if I'd have just thrown earlier or if I thrown later and threw on better timing. And as a result, they can just barely Astonish, farm me down, and I end up losing that game. But GG's top opponent there, into next battle, another Azumarill in the lead. Once again, firing off the Shadow Ball as soon as we get there. The opponent probably going to no-shield the first charge move as they can win the zero-shield scenario here. So at this point, I'm going to shield. They go for Play Rough. So if they go for Play Rough, it's a pretty clear indication that they're not on Ice Beam. But we're still going to swap. And once again, able to catch the next Play Rough onto my Melmetal. And again, baiting out a Mud Slap user in Excadrill. Honestly, like, I don't necessarily need to bait out the Mud Slappers as Lucario has like a pretty even matchup there, but of course it's still very nice to get them out there because otherwise it's a very close matchup with Lucario and it kind of just depends, like you saw up against the Doug Trio, on who is actually able to swap out faster. And if you get a one-turn swap, then you're kind of screwed. But either way, gonna shield up the draw on there, gonna fire off the Shadow Ball immediately here as they were, I think, one Mud Slap away from the next charge move. Shadow Ball gets the KO. They're gonna have a Whimsicott in the back, so we're gonna swap into our Lucario. The opponent over farming, but by too much. They're able to allow me to get to a close combat. Close combat does huge damage, and it just doesn't matter at this point. I think they should go for a Seed Bomb here. They go for Moonblast. Moonblast gets the KO, but now we can come in, get the farm down, and I'm able to make it to a charge move, so the opponent just concedes the match there. But they definitely got a little bit too greedy on the Whimsicott. But GG's top opponent there, into the next battle. You're going to see Excadrill in the lead. So definitely where we want to see it. And once again, I'm going to fire for charge straight away. However, because it's an Excadrill, because they are very glassy, we're going to bait with the Ominous Wind. Then I swap. I realize I can get a one-turn swap. Oh, sorry, a zero-turn swap there. So that means if they throw straight away, I'll still get that Force Palm through. And that will do big damage up against the Excadrill. Now, we fire for Thunder Punch here. Thunder Punch is going to be no shielded. However, they throw immediately. This is not going to be an overheat, so I can let it go through. Just a double resisted sludge, which does not do much damage whatsoever. Again, firing off the Thunder Punch. Thunder Punch, going to get the KO. They come back in with a second Mud Slapper in a Alolan Doug trio, so very interesting team. And honestly, it's going to depend on whether Giratina can win this game here. But we're going to swap, and I think we're able to swap out just in time. No, barely not able to do so. We get to the superpower, but it's a CMP tie, which of course we lose. And at this point, we're going to rely on the damage registration error to win this game here. And again, we're able to get it. I've mentioned this in my past few videos. Somehow, I just keep on getting it. And now we're able to Shadow Claw, farm down the Doug trio. And I did not deserve that win, but I'm able to get it anyway. So GG's to opponent there. Apologies for winning via an inconsistent game mechanic, but I've definitely lost a ton of times due to damage registration error, so I guess it evens out, but it's very strange. I don't know if it's just more common these days or if I'm just getting extremely lucky, but either way, we're going to swap. The opponent has held onto their energy really well, and unfortunately, they bait me the first time around. I'm thinking, surely they don't double bait here. Yes, they do double bait, and because they've done that, they're able to get both my shields, and they're still able to make it to a Scorching Sands. They've had me on toast right now, which is pretty fitting because that is my name. But either way, we're going to come in with the Melmetal. They come in with a Registeel, and I should be able to make it to back-to-back superpowers here. But instead, what we're going to do is fire off the first one. First one, of course, goes unshielded. We then swap straight away into Giratina. Maybe should have banked slightly more energy on the Melmetal, but the opponent does not get a debuff with the Zap Cannon. I'm going to overfarm as much as I think I can there. Firing off the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball gets the KO. They come in with a Azumarill here, and we're going to go straight for another Shadow Ball. So the opponent is going to no-shield that first Shadow Ball. They are committing to a full bubble farm down, and I should have read that, and I should have just fired off another Shadow Ball. Instead, I panic, I go for Ominous Wind. The opponent correctly no-shields there, and after on Hydro Pump, I think we just lose here. Hydro Pump is going to get the KO. I'm going to farm up to back-to-back superpowers. And this first, well, not quite a back-to-back superpowers, but this first one is going to be shielded by the opponent. We make it to superpower number 2. However, we have a triple resisted Thunder Shock, non-stab, and we're double debuffed in our attack. It's not able to get the fast move farm down. They're able to sand attack, farm down both the Melmetal and the Giratina. And unfortunately, we do lose that game. But I definitely should have been able to play slightly better there and probably could have got the win. But GG's to opponent there. Into next battle, I think we led into Registeel. I wasn't actually paying attention. But either way, gonna no shield. They go for the Hydro Pump here. We're gonna go and full send the Hyper Beam. And honestly, from full HP, this was pretty disappointing damage. I thought it would put him into Thunder Shock farm down range. But of course, the Azumarill, very thick. It just doesn't do that. And now we do at least grab a shield there with the superpower. Could have been a Rock Slide or a double Iron Bash or something. So we end up at least getting a shield advantage. Now we can come in with Lucario, and because it is a Registeel in the lead, I realize I can get tons of energy on Lucario, and my Giratina is still very safe into the Registeel. Now they come in with the Registeel. For some reason, we're going to go and fire off the close combat. The opponent no shields. It does huge damage, and then they come in with an Altaria. So at this point, we're firing off the Thunder Punch. Thunder Punch does some okay damage. I'm going straight for Shadow Ball here, no point in baiting. Shadow Ball, if it does connect, we'll put them into fast move farm down range, and the opponent calls the bait there, instantly recognizing since we landed the Shadow Ball, it's going to be game over, so they just concede the match. So GG top end there, into next battle, Azumarill in the lead once again. So once again, we're going to do the exact same thing, fire off the Shadow Ball as soon as we get there. I don't really need to overfarm at all because Shadow Ball is still going to do big damage, and even if they can't catch it if we throw on good timing there, but either way, we're going to fire off a superpower into the Flygon coming in. Superpower, going to do big damage, and the opponent overfarms, allowing me to make it to a second superpower. And this is fine with me. Superpower number 2 is going to be shielded by the opponent. However, at this point, since I've double debuffed my defense, Dragon Claw will be enough damage to put me into Sand Attack farm down range, which isn't really ideal. However, we're going to come in with the Giratina, and we do not have a charge move. We're going to swap, and instead, hopefully we just caught a Dragon Claw this time around, and it is the Dragon Claw, which is huge for me. We then get the full Force Palm farm down, and they come back in with Azumarill. Now, I could have thrown the Thunder Punch straight away. Instead, I'm opting to shield once, and maybe committing to a full farm down. Actually, never mind. We're going to go for the Thunder Punch, and if they shield this, then I'm actually going to double shield my Lucario, because I realize they are clearly weak to Lucario in the back if they're shielding their Azumarill at such low HP. And so we're going to see it's going to be Alolan Sand Slash in the back. We're able to make it to the close combat. Close combat gets the one shot. We get the Force Palm farm down, taking out Azumarill, and I'm able to take that game. So GG to opponent there into next battle, another Shadow Alone Sand Slash in the lead, gonna say swap into our Melmetal, and this time we're met with a Turtonator. So we are going to once again commit to the Hyper Beam. Hyper Beam, if it does connect, will do huge damage, and the opponent is going to let that go through, but unfortunately, one more Incinerate does get the KO there, and Hyper Beam just not quite enough damage to put them into Thundershock farm down range, so definitely not ideal for us. At this point, we're going to come in with the Giratina. I'm going to no shield. We can actually live that just barely, and now I can swap into my Lucario. Nope, never mind. We're actually not able to swap out there, and that is a little bit painful because they come in with a Flygon. They're going to be able to make it to back-to-back Dragon Claws here, and it's just going to be game over, unfortunately. I will be able to commit to a full Force Palm farm down, but I can't come out with 3 Charge Moves loaded. That Sand Slash is pretty close to a move anyway, so I'm going to go for 1 Force Palm. That does huge damage. And honestly, if they were, well, if I just had, well, I don't even know what I'm talking about these days. If I was able to Force Palm farm them down, that would have been very nice, but I knew I couldn't commit to that. I had to try and commit to 3 Charge Moves, but with a 40 energy Charge Move, that's just not going to happen. So GG's to opponent there into the final battle of this video. Another Azumarill in the lead. So this time we're actually over farming more for some reason. So I've said like every time like, oh, we just go straight for Shadow Ball. This time we're not doing that. We're waiting for them to throw. Now we're going to fire for Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball is going to do big damage. And now they actually swap out into a Galarian Weezing. Now we've got enough energy for the Shadow Ball. We bait with an Ominous Wind and we grab a shield. We then get the boost there, which I think was the only boost I got, which honestly makes sense. I barely ever went for the Ominous Wind anyway, so you can't boost if you don't actually throw the Charge Move that allows you to boost. But either way, we're going to no shield. The opponent goes for Overheat. That actually doesn't quite take us out there, but they still get the farm down anyways. So at this point we come in with the Melmetal and the opponent swaps into Excadrill. So this is fine with me. Obviously, I would have had to full send a Hyper Beam to get the KO up against the Weezing. Now we can just go straight for a Superpower, get the KO there. They come back in with the Azumarill and we are going to go for another Superpower, but I'm actually going to undercharge this. I do not want to get the KO. Instead, I want to put them into perfect farm down range or force the opponent to throw their energy. Either is fine with me. The opponent goes for a Play Rough. They can actually swap out though, so they swap back into the Weezing. And now we've got the energy for the Thunder Punch. It doesn't matter if they bait me right now, and they've got the Overheat loaded because we win CMP with Lucario. Thunder Punch from this range easily gets the KO, and then one more Force Palm takes out Azumarill, and I'm able to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And if you want to take your support even further, you can now become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has already become a channel member. Your support is greatly appreciated, and with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.